Yeah, I've never done this before, so this will be interesting.
I'd like to welcome everybody back to another installment of Conversations with Willi. My guest today is a woman named Sarah Kelsen, and I'll have Sarah introduce herself, her business, and talk a little bit about her values before we actually go into some dialogue. So, Sarah, tell us about yourself.
All right, first of all, I'd like to say thank you, Willi, for initiating this dialogue, and I really appreciate the conversation. So as Willi pointed out, my name is Sarah. I am a current graduate student at the College of Environmental Science and Forestry. I'm studying ecological engineering, and concurrently I do have my own ecological design firm in which I heavily focus on permaculture design principles, but also on stormwater management, wastewater management, ecological treatment of water systems, regeneration of native species and biodiversity, reforestation, urban agriculture, all sorts of ecology-based design. And that firm is called Land Beyond the Sea, Ecological Design. We're currently working on getting our website back up, so stay tuned for that. But our core values in the firm are surrounding the reconnection of human society with our natural world, and on a very deep spirit-based and as well as just practical base. I think that we've lost a lot of connection with the rest of life around us. So we're really looking forward to expanding our repertoire. We've done most of our work in southern Mexico, in the Tulum area and in Ithaca, New York. So we're looking to expand internationally as well.
And why have you focused on southern Mexico, Sarah?
That was where we were living for about a year for my master's research. So I studied indigenous ecological knowledge in the rainforests of southern Mexico with a Mayan community. And so concurrently I felt that I needed to balance my studies with hands-on application of ecological systems and ecological design in an area where water systems is just a really water-stressed region of the world. So we saw a severe need for this sort of eco-technology and just had the wonderful opportunity of applying it. So it was a lot of fun.
What did the rainforest people teach you about the sacred?
I'm so glad you asked that because that was just one of the most amazing lessons that I've learned in this whole journey. I can sum it up in one word: reciprocity. And these people just have such an interwoven balance with the natural world. They so heavily depend on it and are very closely connected to that delicate balance. And it was never a question. It was never something that we had to talk about in a Western scientific view. It was such a part of their worldview, their spirituality. So for a summer, I lived in a community in the middle of the jungle in Lacanha, which is in the Lacandon rainforest, and they are a people who've been farming the forest for thousands of years, and they still continue, although struggling due to Western influence and religious influence, but they are still continuing to farm thousands of hectares of forest while maintaining primary growth and maintaining their earth-based spirituality as well.
I'm interested to know how you juggle profit versus spirituality.
It's a difficult avenue because I did encounter that in my master's research. I work with a community that's on the fringes of migration and adaptation due to conflict over scarcity of natural resources. And so they're a community that's in some sort of conflict over land claims and environmental scarcity, as well as balancing their traditional culture with the globalized culture. So they're getting a lot of pressure from the Mexican government to produce commodities for a global market while also maintaining for their families. But what I found that was really inspiring was that they did have a deep-rooted sense of ecological stewardship, as well as just beautiful, extensive home gardens. And while living in this community, I ate all of the food that was produced in their home gardens on relatively small plots, but I guess you could say permaculture. That word is not really utilized down there yet, but it's more of a common practice, a common way of life for them. Home gardens with multiple strata and all sorts of different edible crops and tree crops and bush crops, perennials, annuals. So that's something that I'm actually really interested in delving into more. I've never felt like my own life is motivated by monetary gain, but it is difficult, especially after traveling internationally and coming back to the United States, finding that balance, especially as a student. So it's something that I would personally don't see as being necessary in a small community scale. I would like to see more trade and exchange on on a more substantial level than just money. So we'll see. I mean, it's something that we constantly work on in this day and age.
So I'm experiencing some pushback on my attempts to bring sacred into permaculture. Some people in the UK don't want to hand the government an application that talks about sacred. They just want to deal with the land use as such. And folks in Australia, on the other hand, have expressed problems to me because of the conservative agricultural community and their Protestant, perhaps, leanings. How would you recommend that I go forward with this teaching that I want to do around sacred and permaculture? How would I present it or finesse it?
So is this what you were referring to more or less about the controversial alchemical sacred connection yesterday?
Yeah, that could be. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a little far out, but there's some more mainstream, I guess, sacred notions out there as well.
Well, my personal opinion is, and this is, I've gone through activist training. I've done, lobbying on Capitol Hill. I was much more of a gung-ho fighter when I was in undergrad, but I've found that surrounding ourselves with people who are willing to listen and who are willing to take that step to make the change is my own personal calling. I found that it's just really distressing and distracting and kind of sucking of life force to work with people who are so against making the change that needs to happen. And I found it a lot easier outside of the United States, and I don't have much experience working in Europe, but I think that's why I've been drawn to work in Latin America, where I feel the people have much more of a connection to the sacred ecology. There were places that we would visit in Mexico where you'd think you were just in the middle of the woods and you'd find an altar in the forest, built out of natural materials, praising the life that surrounded you in the forest. So my personal resources and dedication go to the people who are on the fence but who are willing to work with you and to learn. And I personally am very excited and eager to work with children, under the age of 10, because that's when they still have a sense of wonder, and I feel like they have a very intimate connection with the natural world at that point. So I think that it's almost a disservice not to work with the children, and that's something that I'm really excited about getting into more. But I do understand that some people, maybe as yourself, I would like to hear more about your motivation and the population that you're trying to reach, I guess. Who are your target audience? Everyone.
Well, I'm pleased that you're taking the discussion into a certain focus, and that's important. I see a dire lack of sacred on the planet in general. I don't even know personally what it is, but I know it's important enough for us to talk about it and perhaps get a collective idea about what it is. I think religion has let us down in this regard. And so I just sort of set sail on an unknown ocean called sacred. But my plan is to teach a non-denominational experience so people can come in and talk about sacred in whatever context they want, write a paper, and maybe meet some other folks at the same time. So it's an opportunity to self-explore and to find a community around something that I think will be a key turning point. So that's what I'm doing with sacredpermaculture.net, which will launch mid-May.
Oh, excellent. That'll be wonderful. And do you see any sort of hands-on applied component of that, like living ecology component of that?
Well, I hope to have folks take their ideas, their goals surrounding that into their permaculture projects in their community, and and further talk about it, disseminate it, challenge it, and then just apply it in some way. That's the sort of the big picture here. Not to just take a class and split, but to take it back to father and daughter, sister, take it back to the backyard.
Yeah,
So
because
that's a goal.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
But I do see it, there's kind of, I don't know, and this was one of my questions for you also, because you seem very connected to this progressive digital age, where I kind of shy away from that a little bit, because my concern is that it's just been such a distraction to actual hands-on applied, real living systems. So how do you see that? I mean, do you feel like we can substitute these real, in-person relationship connections in a digital age? I mean, do you feel like we're kind of losing connection, or do you think that it's possible?
Well, I guess I'm rather unique because I publish a magazine and I have a lot of connections electronically. So I'm going to say that my work in a web context works many different channels, but I'm also producing my own garden, for instance, and I'm also taking the permaculture certificate course. So I'm always trying to synthesize
Talent.
what I'm up to, bring them both together.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a wonderful avenue for sharing, in this day and age, and I'm very thankful to have found you, through that avenue as well. So it's inspiring in that sense.
So Sarah, tell me, how are you like a shaman?
Hmm.
Because it strikes me that I'm talking to a shaman. I'm only kind of half-heartedly telling you that, but I'm gonna pose it because I want you to follow that thought and see where it goes for me.
That's amazing. I'm flattered. I guess
Why are you flattered?
just because it's a very deep, spiritual, connective being to be a shaman. But I've always felt a really deep connection with the natural world. I would say that I grew up in my backyard in the heart of Haudenosaunee sacred land. So there is a lot of sacred life surrounding me. Um, I work a lot on feeling and on what my heart says. Um, and I find that there's no way to separate sacred from everyday life. It is around us all day, every day. It's just a matter of slowing down and observing it and being thankful for it. I think that's a huge part of what we miss in this fast-paced, quick-fix environment these days. Um, I've had the opportunity to meet and learn from some really amazing people just from, I guess, putting my feelers out. And it seems like the right people come along at the right time, and just being open for that change and that opportunity has been really helpful in my own life, in connecting relationships.
Okay, that's that's a good try.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you're going with it, but
That's good. No, I was just trying to put out some feelers. I want to talk about ecofeminism and how your university is supporting ecofeminism.
it's it's actually a challenge for me because I took on a really big world picture in my research, kind of feminizing science and feminizing engineering, which it's been talked about for a long time. It's been an idea for at least the past 50 years, but no one has actually done it. And I thought, as a master's student, I would jump right into it because that's how I am. I'm full of passion, and I need to do something that's going to really give back to me and the rest of the world. But I have come up against a lot of challenging situations. I find that everything is teaching me something. So I've had an amazing opportunity to study and live in southern Mexico. But at this point, I'm really looking for more than an academic setting. I think that change is happening. It's just happening a little bit too slowly for me.
Okay.
And I think that my department recognizes that. They're really wonderful, and they're going through some amazing changes for an engineering faculty. But it's just I'm ready to move on to the next connection. So it's a tough field. It's a tough field to feminize. I'm hopeful and I'm going to keep doing it, but I don't think that I need to do it within the confines of academia.
Hmm. Well, I live in what you could argue as the mother lode of technology in Silicon Valley,
Yeah.
and I often have to step back from that rush and that capitalist push and say to myself, well, technology really won't save us. What do you think? Can technology save us?
I don't think so. I think that Earth, I think the Earth's technology can save us. I think evolution can save us. Biodiversity can save us. But I think it also has to have a sacred component. I think we need to recognize that life around us is sacred, and we need to honor that. I think that we're losing a lot, getting sucked into the technological revolution. No, I don't have faith in man-made solutions. But I do have faith that we can collectively go through an awakening process and a reconnecting process with living systems. What do you think?
I'm really excited about bringing a spiritual component to a land-based technology. In other words, I'm combining sacred with permaculture, and I'm thinking that's a good way to go. After 51 years of screwing around, I'm trying to figure out how to bring some evolution to the planet.
Yeah,
So I think natural technology, earth-based technology is key. Yeah, I agree with you. Totally.
yeah. I'm very thankful for what you're doing in terms of turning permaculture into sacred, because I think that's something that we're lacking, and I think it has to do with the fact that we're an immigrant society, and that we're not indigenous to place. In a globalized society, it's really something that I think we need to focus on, is becoming indigenous to place again. Redeveloping what you talk about heavily is redeveloping our mythology and our spiritual sacred connection to place.
Hmm. Do you think there's some patriarchal forces happening in permaculture? Do you think that it's kind of a man-dominated field in a sense?
Um, it has that sort of undertone, and that's part of the reason that I've kind of shied away from the label permaculture.
Mm-hmm.
I usually shy away from labels anyway and kind of give it a more organic form. But it does seem we are in an age of awakening, though, awakening the divine feminine, and I think that it's going to have to play a part in permaculture or in the movement because it I mean it's all about life and collaboration and recognizing that we are not the dominating force. We are merely a strand in the web, as Chief Seattle would put it.
Very good. I'd like to start to close out. I want you to talk a little bit about some of the stories and songs and symbols surrounding earth-based systems. I want you to combine both of your brains and talk about the new myth surrounding indigenous culture. What have you sung and what have you drawn with the folks in southern Mexico in this regard?
Well, I've had the most amazing experience with a group of women where we met on a regular basis and we essentially celebrated the divine feminine and learned through ancient wisdom how to celebrate. And so we did moon ceremonies. We participated in temazcal, which is a sweat lodge ceremony to honor the seasons and rebirth and cleansing. And did a lot of dancing and visiting spiritual sacred sites. And I think a component that was really important in this all was ritual. I think that ritual is something that we need to participate in more often, whether it be just organic ritual or very organized, spiritually connected ritual. And we always made sure to demonstrate reciprocity and give thanks and open our energy to receiving as well. So I felt very connected in that group, and I feel like that would be something that we can look forward to in other parts of the world as well. So we sang a lot of songs.
Did
Just
you drink?
celebrating.
Did you drink any plant potions
Not
at
at
this?
this, not at this one. No. We
Have
did
you done
have
that?
we did have a shaman healer around the corner. They had a traditional Mayan pharmacy where they had a shamanic healer available at all times for any sort of ailment or personal spiritual healing, energy cleansing. And I participated in a lot of that. Met a lot of people who were very open on that spiritual level. And I really enjoyed celebrating life with these people, celebrating life and the natural world, and bringing plant-based energy into our celebrations and ceremonies as well, honoring all four elements, the fifth element as well. So I had a really wonderful time, and I look forward to reawakening these connections and the continued journeys that I will be undertaking.
So what do you want to do with your life next after academia and graduation?
I would like to continue my consulting on a more widespread basis, but what I really want to do from my heart and my soul is to live on a permaculture farm, live on an off-the-grid farm, and really just become part of a community. Surround myself with people who are doing, walking the walk, because I find that it's just rejuvenating, and it's right where we need to be right now in terms of energy as well, in terms of spirituality and connection to each other and place. So I'm looking for those possibilities throughout the world.
So do you see the coming years as a crash or a transition or little crashes? How do you actually in your heart see this happening? Because in my mind there's going to be some people who are prepared for a lot of scenarios, and some people won't be prepared at all, and they'll be lost. How do you see this?
Right. Well, I do recognize that our society is very polarized right now. And, through, as an ecologist and as an academic, I feel like the crash is already happening. I feel like we are, you can look at it in a negative light or a positive light. I think it's a balance of the two. And I'm actually really looking forward to a collective conscious awakening. I've studied a little bit of Mayan mythology and Mayan storytelling and learned a little bit about the new age that's coming, that's forecasted in their prophecies in 2012. And I do think it's just going to be a real collective awakening of conscious and change, because I think it's the only way we can perpetuate our species is to rethink our reality.
Well said. Okay, Sarah, tell me really clearly, slowly, what the name of your company is, please.
We are called Land Beyond the Sea, Ecological Design.
Okay.
And I will get our website to you as soon as possible. And our consulting services include all sorts of cultural ecological components. My focus has been on water in the past, just because it's such a core component of who we are. And I grew up in an area that was just so blessed with water. We are water blessed in the Finger Lakes and the Great Lakes region.
Right.
And so I find that it's a really rewarding experience working with ecological systems, cleansing water. So we do all sorts of ecological restoration and ecological design. We always program in some medicinal herbal plants, as well as forest gardening, and we like to use native species and endemic species and perennials. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Hey, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so
much. We were supposed to get together.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's great.
Nice.
Thank you so much. I'm so appreciative for you reaching out. I really appreciate it.
Well, this will be...
You're in the San Francisco region.
Where?
Are you located in the Bay Area?
Yes, I am. I'm about 30 miles south of San Francisco on the peninsula.
Excellent.
In a place called Burlingame.
All right.
Yeah. So I hope that this video conversation will be a part of your marketing mix.
I hope so.
Know. Maybe the shaman thing's a little far out. You never know.
Oh, I'd love to continue that conversation some other time.
We will, indeed. Okay, don't hang up. I'm just going to stop the video. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll see you on YouTube, Sarah.
Oh, thank you so much.